Minister Al-Sawa, a Minister of Communications and Information Technology, and before that he was Chief Digital Officer, and before that an entrepreneur, so a lot of background there. Let's talk about the digital economy. We've talked about the other economy. We all know what huge promise there is in digital economy globally, but we also know the dangers of inequities and digital divides. So how do you see those in the Saudi context, and how are you dealing with them?
First of all, it's always a pleasure to connect with lifelong partners and friends. And this is a testimony, what we're seeing right now in the room, that once we partner for a lifetime. When it comes to the digital divides, I think we all agree with the World Economic Forum. The fragmented world that we have today does indeed need a new system for collaboration and cooperation. But let's not forget that this fragmented world is so interconnected and interdependent. One virus in one pocket of the world could cripple down 75% of the global supply chains, and one food security challenge, and we heard it today, could not only double the number of people without access to basic food, but actually wipe out the collective progress that we have made in the past 10 years. This is why the Kingdom stands clear as your partner for choice for how we can bridge those global divides, how we can bridge those digital divides for a better tomorrow and a brighter future. On closing down the digital divides, I remember during the toughest year that humanity have seen in the past 90 years, during the G20 2020, under the leadership of His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, we drove consensus that we must connect the unconnected world. 2.7 billion people on the face of Earth don't have access to the internet, don't have access to education, remote work, and remote healthcare. This is completely not acceptable. We've commissioned a study during the G20 with the ITU and the World Economic Forum that is going to cost us around $500 billion to connect the unconnected world if we use ground networks. And this is why we have launched the NTN program, the non-terrestrial network program, in how we can connect the ground with space, with Earth. And we have done the first trial last year in which you have a 5G tower connected to a plane flying at 20 kilometers above the Earth, connected to a low Earth orbiting satellite. And this is going to connect the unconnected world for a fraction of the cost. There's so much polarization in the analog world. During that year, we have launched the Digital Cooperation Organization. Like-minded nations came together, 11, and we launched this year with WEF, Bridging the Digital Divides, a roadmap of how we bring those nations together. Last but not least, His Royal Highness touched base on it, and I have to share it in every Davos. This is one of the stories that we must share in every Davos. Women, inclusion, and empowerment in tech. This is the most audacious and bold reform story in the 21st century. We jumped from 7% to 32%. Mind you, this is higher than the EU average, G20 average, and also the Silicon Valley average. And it's not a surprise, and Her Royal Highness is a mentor to a lot of these women entrepreneurs. You have Sarwa Al-Hazza, who's tackling type 2 diabetes, the silent pandemic that is actually killing 3 times COVID-19, and they're tackling it with data and AI. These are live examples of how the Kingdom is your partner for choice for bridging those global divides.
So Minister Al-Sawa, what can be done collectively? So we talked about the Saudi digital divide issues. What can be done collectively and globally to ensure inclusion in the digital future? And can Saudi Arabia scale what it's doing? Can it contribute to the digital picture globally?
I love what you said earlier, that the Kingdom should be a global force for integration, and I couldn't agree more. And when it comes to scaling digital solutions for the wider region, I mean, the report that was released by the Digital Cooperation Organization chaired by the Kingdom recently laid out the roadmap with what we call the 3 Cs: common frameworks, collective action, and collaborative tools. And let me share with you a personal story. You touched base on the entrepreneurship story. So about 12 years ago, I was lucky and fortunate. I was a recipient of Prince Mohammed bin Salman MISC Foundation support for entrepreneurs. And as a result of that, I was part of a group of entrepreneurs that we launched the first health tech and telemedicine solution for the world that today is powering more than 50 million virtual consultations within the region, saving thousands of lives. And what I love is that our Minister of Health and the healthcare champions that we have taken it to the next level. They have launched the Saudi Virtual Hospital. And taking it to a next level, I'll give you one example of how much impact they are doing for the region. One of the critical things within the healthcare professional is called door to needle. For stroke patients, you need to operate and prepare the room between 25 minutes to 60 minutes to be able to prevent partial and full paralysis. And they were able to deliver that capability for the region. Once again, these are live examples of how the kingdom is a force for global integration.